we watch, we observe, and then we strike. Welcome to Crypto Strikers. My name is Frank. The channel you want to subscribe to for Bitcoin, altcoin, and all that crypto analysis. Guys, I've been nailing it when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. In my previous videos, I've been telling you guys where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to at the end of the short term, and also my price target for the long term as well. 95 over 100 times that I've predicted the price of Bitcoin for the past 3 months, the Bitcoin price have followed just exactly the way I predicted it. You can watch all my videos. I literally state it even before the price start the particular movement. Before a particular candle might be formed for the price of Bitcoin, sometimes I come out and say this is eventually what we're going to see that will happen in the price of Bitcoin, and it happens just the way I stated it. If you watch my last video, I drew this stuff that we have here, telling you guys that we're gonna see a pullback immediately Bitcoin gets to this level, and once Bitcoin reaches this particular support that we have here, we're gonna see a movement for Bitcoin to the upside, and we saw exactly that movement. Even when Bitcoin gets to the particular point, I still make a video tell you guys that we're gonna see a pullback and still retest this particular support, which is sitting around $57,000, before we're gonna find an original movement to the upside. You watch my last video, you will see exactly what I'm saying right here. We saw Bitcoin eventually comes down back to retest the support, and even when it retests the support at this particular price range, we saw the price of Bitcoin goes back to $62,000, and we saw this gigantic candle here, which eventually pull the price of Bitcoin down to retest the support one more time before we find another movement to the upside. Where do I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to as of this moment, and where do I feel Bitcoin will head to at the immediate short term, and also my price target for the Bitcoin price as well. So you want to stick with me in this video to find out where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to. And guys, you don't want to miss this is a decision point for the price of Bitcoin. You want to watch the video to the end, because I have a long-term price target for Bitcoin, and I also have a short-term price target for the price of Bitcoin. So you want to stick with me to the end of this video. If this is your first time meeting me on this channel, you want to subscribe to this channel to get real-time updates when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. You want to click on the notification bell icon so you will get notified anytime I post a new video. So without further ado, let me jump right into the video of today. All right guys, so as you can see, we see that Bitcoin right now is in this particular form. I remember telling you guys that the moment Bitcoin broke out from this particular rising wedge, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin comes down to retest this support at the $57,000 range. That was in my last video. If you check the video, you'll see exactly what I was telling you guys, and then we saw Bitcoin eventually comes down to retest this particular support at $57,000, and Bitcoin eventually bounced back from there. And right now we are consolidating around the $60,000 range to $61,000 range, precisely $60,800 range to $60,000 to $61,200 range. That is where Bitcoin is consolidating right now. So where do I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to? So guys, as you can see, we saw Bitcoin broke out from this rising wedge, and Bitcoin is right now trying to at least go past the wedge. But there's something interesting that is going on in the chart of Bitcoin that I want you guys to see. If you take a look at this, guys, the orange line that we have here is the 55 exponential moving average, while the blue line that we have here is the 21 exponential moving average. We can see that Bitcoin is consolidating just around this particular price range, and I feel that the moment Bitcoin break past this 55 exponential moving average, we're going to at least retest this point which we have here at the trend line, which is sitting around $63,000. But this is not just a speculation. As we can see, Bitcoin is in this falling wedge that we have here, and then the moment Bitcoin broke past through this trend line of this falling wedge that we have here, we're going to see the Bitcoin price move to the $66,000 range. But it's not going to be a straight movement to the upside, guys, trust me. Bitcoin will first of all find resistance at the $63,000 range, and once it gets to the $63,000 range, we can actually see a straight movement from there to the upside. Because why do I say we're going to reside at the $63,000 range first before we're going to move to the $66,000 range? If you take a very close look at this, you'll find out that we have a strong resistance at this particular point here. We also have another resistance here, and there is one here as well. And as you can see, the moment Bitcoin broke past through this particular resistance, this resistance actually acted as a support. So the moment Bitcoin eventually broke out from this falling wedge that we have here, we're going to see a huge resistance at this particular range. which is sitting around $63,000 range. So keep an eye for the $63,000 range. The moment we break out from here, we're going to retest this $63,000 range, and then most eventually find a pullback or consolidate around this particular point. Or another scenario can still happen, we can still break past through this $63,000 range. You can just see a movement like this for the price of Bitcoin. We can see something like this for the price of Bitcoin, like this, broke past through it, and then eventually comes to the $66,000. So different kind of scenario can eventually happen when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. So you really want to pay close attention to this whole thing that we have here, this falling wedge that we have here, and once that happened, we most definitely gonna see a pullback. In my opinion, we're going to see a pullback once we get to the $63,000 range. And once you get there, if you are that person who really take a trade when it comes to the price of Bitcoin at this particular point here, you want to take your profit at the $63,000 range and wait for another confirmation when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. So this chart that I have for you guys, we have the price of Bitcoin in this particular manner which we have here. And as you can see, the price of Bitcoin forms something like this. This store, what is it called, and then what is this about? Now you can see that this, what we are seeing right now in the price of Bitcoin, is telling us that the price of Bitcoin is in a bump and run reversal pattern, guys. And according to the bump and run reversal pattern, the moment Bitcoin eventually comes to test this particular trend line that we have here, and then eventually broke it out, the Bitcoin price will at least retest that particular trend line and start another movement to the upside. But that movement to the upside will never be a straight line. There will definitely be a shakeout when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. So guys, take a look at this, guys. If you take a look at this, you'll find out that you can see this is similar to what we have in the price of Bitcoin. So this is the bump and run reversal pattern. You can see that the moment Bitcoin eventually move from this part, from maybe from the bottom, and gets to this particular trend line, you can see it consolidate below this particular trend line. And the moment Bitcoin broke out from this particular trend line here, we see that it retests the trend line at least once, the second time, and find another movement to the upside. But if you watch very well, you can see this is never a straight journey. The price of Bitcoin, we always have a retracement back, a retracement, before, but eventually we get to the upside for this particular pattern. So what am I trying to say here? I'm just trying to tell you guys that if you watch very well, this is similar thing that we are having here in the price of Bitcoin. You can see Bitcoin is in this bump and run reversal pattern that we have here, and most eventually we're going to move to the upside. And if the price of Bitcoin moves to the upside, it's not going to be a straight movement. We are going to see a range bound formation like this, but even see another movement like this, and eventually, but the thing is, most eventually we're going to move to the upside. So this is one scenario that is playing out right now for the price of Bitcoin. So where do I feel the price of Bitcoin is going to at the immediate short term, and also my price target for the Bitcoin price for the long term as well? So for the immediate short term, the price of Bitcoin will at least get to the $63,000 range, and once it get to the $63,000 range, we're going to make small consolidation there and eventually gets to the $66,000 range. Then once you get to the $66,000 range, that is when a huge decision will be made when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. And what is this huge decision I'm actually talking about, guys? I've been talking about this decision when it comes to the price of Bitcoin since I think 2 months ago or so. I'm one of the few person talking about the price of Bitcoin going to $74,000 to $75,000 range, even when Bitcoin was still in the between the $38,000 to $45,000 range. The whole person was thinking, a whole lot of persons were thinking the price of Bitcoin eventually wants to go to back to $29,000 range. But I stood on my ground saying, no, we are not going to go back there. We're definitely going to see a movement to the upside, and then that is exactly what we saw. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, that now, as you can see, if you watch very well, Bitcoin is in this particular shape that we see here. And I remember telling you guys that the moment Bitcoin break this trend line is that particular time you actually want to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin was there. I remember making a video for you guys telling you guys to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin was still in this particular range, when Bitcoin was just still trading around this point here. around the $38,000 to $39,000, telling you guys that the moment Bitcoin break this particular trend line, it's going to be an upward movement for the price of Bitcoin. And once that happens, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin goes to this particular price target. I mentioned it in my video then, but I'm still going to mention it again, that we're going to see the price of Bitcoin eventually comes to this particular price target. Let me put at the point of breakout. You'll see the price of Bitcoin will most eventually comes to the $77,000 range, according to this particular pattern which Bitcoin broke out on the weekly time frame. And even before all these candles that we have here started forming, before all this candle here that I drew here, all this 1 2 3 4 5 6 candle, before all this candle formed, if you watch my previous video, I was saying it when Bitcoin, when this candle starts, when this candle just start this candle just starts to print, that was when I was stating it and telling you guys that we're going to see the price of Bitcoin form all this candle here and most eventually move to the upside. And when that happens, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin move to the $77,000 to $76,000 range. And although I know it's not going to be a straight movement, there will definitely be a shakeout, but most eventually we're going to see the price of Bitcoin head to that particular price range that I mentioned to you guys. So you want to pay attention to the price of Bitcoin, and in the really short term, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin move to the $63,000 range, which is this neckline that we have here. And at the long term, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin heads to the $70,000 range as well. And there's another scenario that is going on for the price of Bitcoin that I want you guys to take a look at. Guys, if you watch this very well, you'll see that Bitcoin right now is forming a double bottom, which I feel no any other person is actually talking about it. You can see they are forming a double bottom. This is a classic example of a classic textbook pattern of a double bottom that we are seeing here. So Bitcoin is forming this double bottom, and right now this is where we are. So it still means that we're going to see another movement for the price of Bitcoin to the upside. But before we definitely get to the price target of this double bottom, which is what I do here, which is what I did here, if the price of Bitcoin eventually break this neckline of this double bottom, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin. This is how I got the price target, from the neckline here, from this point here. And if I take it and put it at the point of breakout, that's when Bitcoin eventually break this particular neckline that we have here. We're going to see the price of Bitcoin gets to the $68,000 range, according to this double bottom that we are seeing here. And let me quickly delete this so this double bottom will be very clear. Okay, now so look at it, guys. This is a classic example of a double bottom. Let me take away the moving averages that we have, so this will be very visible for everyone to see. I'm one of the few persons talking about this. A whole lot of persons are not really talking about this right now, but if you can see, this is a double bottom that the price of Bitcoin is printing right now. And then once this particular price of Bitcoin eventually broke the neckline of this double bottom, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin heads to $66,000 to $67,000 range for one Bitcoin. And but before that will happen, I believe Bitcoin will at least before the month we end, at least between now and 3 days time, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin test the neckline of this double bottom that we have here. And that neckline is this particular point that we have here, this whole point that we have here, which is sitting around $63,000 range. And then once Bitcoin get to the $63,000 range, we most likely gonna see a pullback in the price of Bitcoin, or we can just break past through the $67,000 range and then consolidate above the $63,000 to $65,000 range, and then find another movement to the upside, which is sitting around $67,000 to $68,000 range for the price of Bitcoin. That is literally what I have for you guys when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. And guys, this is another scenario. If you see the price of Bitcoin right now, you can see that the 21 exponential moving average is supporting the price of Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin is testing this fib extension that is sitting around 61,900 level, which is the 0.236 fib extension. And the moment the Bitcoin price broke past this 0.236 fib extension, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin move to the upside, which is this $67,000 range that we have here. So that is literally what I have for you guys. And if you find value in this video, give this video a thumbs up, and then try to click on the notification button to support my channel. And that's what I have for you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys in my next video. As always, peace.